Welcome back to Just You and Me. It's the last episode of 2026 on Donna. 2025.
Wow, you screwed that one up right from the beginning, but I like
What
it.
else is new?
I mean, this year has been awful. So let's, except for the start of this podcast. It's fine that you started that way. That basically means we're very much looking forward to 2026.
I saw a meme the other day.
Yes.
And I posted it on my feed. It said 2025 feels like being awake during surgery.
Yep, I've seen that. It is, it's true. And I know that everybody always says, oh my God, this was the worst year. 2024 was the worst, or 23 was the worst. No, this was the worst. There's nothing. I mean, it's just bad year.
Everyone, of course, is going to have their own experiences, but I think even people that had great things happen, like I had some good things happen to me, it was still a bad year. Like, I think that and you had it doubly with your dad and your dog and like some really bad stuff. But I think that most people would agree that 25 was a tough year. Like even if you got married, had a baby, it still was a bad year.
Yeah,
overall.
I feel like any political side you're on as well, you can find something that sucked about this year.
100%. Wherever you live, you could find something that sucked.
Yeah. Fires. Gee. All right. You know what? This is
it was a really like apocalyptic year. Like, I mean, it's
not worse than 2020, but is it like the next worse since 2020?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because there was always like 9/11 and like bad years.
Well, I mean, since 2020.
Oh, since 2020 for sure.
For sure. There hasn't been any
worst.
other year that's worse.
I don't know. Every year since 2020 kind of sucks. But 2025 was probably really bad just in general, like from top to bottom, because it had, like, we started with the horrendous fires. By the way, our kids are home from break. I don't know where your kids are, probably at camp or something.
No, they're at grandma's house.
Oh, you're lucky. Okay, so Oliver just walked down here because I just finished recording my other show, and he probably is like, Mom, do I have a mom?
Hey, Oliver.
What's up, Oliver? He's in my ear.
Can I go to VidCon this year?
VidCon?
What?
We're going to be guests of honor, aren't we?
I went to VidCon this last year.
I know, but this year.
Why? Who's there?
Just like a bunch of YouTubers.
Where's VidCon this year?
It's probably in Anaheim. I can probably see if I can get tickets, okay? I'll see what I can do.
Yay.
25 started out like in the most horrendous way with those fires because that was January 7th. That was like so early in the year.
Yes. Very early.
Oh my gosh. I have to tell you. Well, I don't even know where we're going to go with this episode today because you know how we work. We just kind of go. Let's just flow.
Let's flow.
But I need to know if you're on this algorithm, if you're on the same algorithm as me. And this is not necessarily a Jewish thing, although we can connect it to being Jewish and the anti-Israel hate.
Yes. Always.
This is what we could spend an hour talking about life and our personal situations, but this is what is so fascinating to me right now.
Okay.
You sent me last night. There's so many things I want to mention, but the fires is what triggered this. But you sent me last night a video of Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
And I've seen this now, this clip that he's talking about this. And basically what's happening right now is I feel like we're living in parallel universes with like a lot of other people where we're seeing the world for the true threats that there are in the world, the true issues, and then there's these people out there that are just like, but Israel.
Yes.
Like, but Israel is the danger. So this is, I think, a fascinating topic. And the reason why it came up, and we can get back to the fires later or whatever, but I watched an amazing expose.
Oh, an expose.
Well,
what a word.
Okay, shut up. It's here on
French?
YouTube.
Is it French?
Yes, expose. And then I put on a beret and I smoke a cigarette. So I watched a really fascinating documentary. It's like 30 minutes long. It's only on YouTube. And it was written about in Daily Mail, which is why I found it. And it's from a kid who, well, he's not a kid anymore, but he's probably 30 something, who creates videos on YouTube. He's a creator, he's a filmmaker, and he grew up in the Palisades. And his childhood home burned down. And he exposes like the timeline of what went down from January 7th, even before January 6th, like when they knew it was going to be bad winds.
Right.
to January 8th, 9th. And there's so many corrupt things that happened because apparently, there was a fire that started a few days before, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. It's not about that. It's about the fact that the firefighters were not around to save the Palisades on the days after the fire even broke out. Like on January 8th, there were so many houses just going up in flames and no fire trucks to be found. And it's a really, really crazy story because I didn't know this. I didn't know that had happened, but the firefighters were told to stand down and not come and help. And I'll send it to you. It's a really, really interesting documentary. But what I find fascinating about it is that people are so politicized that they saw that, and some of the people in the X comments and stuff immediately say that it's a lie, that it's fake, because God forbid you ever say anything bad about like Gavin Newsom, for example, right?
Right.
And this is what reminds me of this whole thing about like how we all see the real threats to America, terrorism and radical Islamism is an issue, clearly. Yep. And yet Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are walking around saying that's not a real thing. That's fake.
Mm-hmm. It's a psyop.
It's a psyop. It's fake. It's a talking point.
Right.
And the real issue is Israel.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous because, so I sent this clip to you. I don't know if you have it handy, but it's basically Tucker saying that he doesn't know one person who has been killed by radical Islam. So of course it's not a problem. That could be one of the most uneducated statements I've ever seen from a quote unquote journalist. Right? Because think about how that sounds. If you're a journalist, you want facts. So you look into statistics, you look into certain ideas. You're putting on makeup again right in the middle of this.
Can you stop?
I can't.
Stop that. It's lip gloss. It's not makeup.
It's fine. You do what you got to do.
Adam, stay focused.
I can't. Apparently Tucker triggers your need to put on lip gloss.
My lips are dry.
Okay. Sure. I don't know what you're doing after this, but you're putting on makeup to do it.
Oh my God.
I'm unhinged today. So
just get back on the story. This is not making for good content.
Oh, they love it. So Tucker is basically saying, yeah, I've never met anybody who was killed or injured by radical Islam. So it's not a problem. That is it's just a very uneducated statement. Because since I don't know somebody that was killed by radical Islam, does that not make it a problem and a threat? Of course, it's absurd. When you think about all the things that's happened, over the past 2 decades or 2.5 decades, starting with 9/11. Of course, there was stuff before that, but really starting with 9/11 to the, the Boston Marathon, to the Ariana Grande concert, to
New Orleans. There was just something last year. Lance said Fort Hood.
Yes. That's the thing. It's like, there's so many people in this world, so many people in this country that, you may not know somebody who was injured or killed from it, but to not see that a group of people, a death cult like Hamas or any of their other, same type of death cults that are, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all these other ones that want to see the West burn. Of course that's a threat. And what they talk about too is that, they just had Turning Point USA. And I think when they did a survey about what is the greatest threat, and I think it was like 70 or 77% of the people who went said they believe that it was either that radical Islam or something that is a threat to our country. So he's completely off base, and he's just making completely anecdotal statements that are not backed by anything scientific, educational, or anything. And it's, to me, real quick, and this is why I sent to you right afterwards. It is not, when he said that, I'm like, there is no way that he is not compromised. He is getting, okay, this is obviously my thought. He is getting paid by Qatar or getting paid by somebody. Like,
Yeah.
you can say anything about his politics, this and that. He could have gone out there and said different things about this, and maybe not been as crazy to say what he had said. But after he said that, to me, it's like there's no other thing in my brain that says he is not compromised. He has to be being paid. He is not that dumb to make a statement like that unless there's something behind it. So,
Well, I mean, and what you're saying is not it's not shocking or surprising to me at all that he is, because there's only so many of these people that are going to go so hard on this story, especially because he did not. It's not that this has been a long-term belief of his. You can find footage and video of people like Tucker Carlson, of people like Candace Owens, literally saying the exact opposite of what they're saying now today. And if anything, the problem has gotten worse, not
right.
better. It's not like in 2017, 18, when they were radical, like almost so radical in those years that I thought they were crazy. But now they're crazy again, just because they're completely acting like it's not an issue. It's like talking about saying there's no homeless in Los Angeles or something. Like, but it's in front of you. It's everywhere we look. What do you mean
Right.
there's none?
Right.
It's gaslighting behavior. And the whole goal is, what is I guess the whole confusion is, what is the goal here? What are you trying to share with the world? What are you trying to get the world to believe? That literally in front of our faces, we're seeing terrorist attacks. We're seeing situations with, all these people that are coming into the country, whether they came in illegally before, they're like sleeper cells basically living amongst us. They don't assimilate to American culture, a lot of them. And what's happening is, I'm not against religious freedom. Like, I think everyone should have that, just because as we're Jewish, like, I would be horrified if people were saying Orthodox Jews couldn't exist and they couldn't walk in the streets with their payas and their. So, of course, I believe in religious freedom, but what does your religion teach you? What kind of values is your religion teaching you? And some of these people are studying books and religions that are literally teaching the thought of taking down the America or the West or just anything. It's not just Jews. Forget the Jews now. It's about everything that's not them. It's like a conquering energy rather than you do you, I do me.
Right.
And that's the danger. Jews are not dangerous in that way. Not one Jew has ever been like, you must become a Jew or else I'm going to kill you. In fact, we make it very difficult to become Jewish.
Yes.
Right?
Difficult.
Like, and Jews, for the most part, are very okay and accepting of other religions. I'm married to someone that's not Jewish. Like, it's not as dangerous. It's not like, also, it's not like Scientology where they try to get you in the door. It's like Scientology or you're dead energy.
Well, we're not. It is interesting you bring that up, because you think about so many other religions, and I don't want to bash on religions because anybody can believe what they want to believe. But what's always made me really, like, one of the things that I really love about Judaism is the fact that we do not want to force our views onto you.
Mm-hmm.
We do not want to. If you're not Jewish, we're not saying, hey, you need to be Jewish or this and that. We're not, the people who come like Mormons who are, on missions and trying to teach, about Jesus to suffering countries.
Yeah, we don't do door-to-door knocking.
Right.
We're not doing pamphlets on the street.
We're not talking about, okay, if you are, if you don't believe in Jesus or you don't believe in this, you're going to burn in hell for all eternity. So you have to. Now, the thing about that is, you ask a pro-Hamas, anti-Israel person, they're going to say, oh, but I read this part of the Talmud, and the Talmud said, oh, Jewish people think that Christians are pigs and this and that. And it's really frustrating because they're trying to box us in as like any other religion like that, when it's so not true. They don't understand what the Talmud is, and they don't understand that is not words that we live by. It has
Well,
never been.
also, there's so much of Judaism that is just cultural and not religious. Like, I don't
Right.
know a lot about the religion of Judaism. I really don't. I know about like the holidays, but I never sat and have read through the Torah or anything like deep. I've never done like Bible study for Jews. You know, it's never
Right.
been a thing for me. And that doesn't make me any less of a Jew.
Right.
So, what I find fascinating is there's always going to be a spectrum of religion, right? You're going to have the hardcore Orthodox. You're going to have the people that are as Reform. You're going to also have the people like we've seen in the last couple of years that are anti-Zionist Jews, which makes zero sense whatsoever to
Nope.
us, because how
Sure.
could you be a Jew and believe that there shouldn't be an Israel for Jews? But whatever. The point is that there's a spectrum, and it's not aggressive in the sense of in a religious way. It's not aggressive. We're very, I think in general, Jews are very welcoming to
Yes.
people that are not Jewish. Come, join, be part of. Now, of course, you're going to find the odd, very religious temple or
Well,
religious sect that are going to
100%.
say, you're not Jewish, don't come in here. Of course.
Or
But that's
like some of the Hasidim, I'm doing it again. They're going to, some of them are going to say you are not Jewish enough, or you're not Jewish because you don't practice, you don't keep kosher, this
yeah.
and that. They don't
And it's like a
consider you to be
judgy
Jewish. Right.
experience.
But that is a fringe, small percentage of global Jews, and you would know this more than I would, but in Israel, for what I remember going there, obviously there's going to be very religious Jews that live there, but it seems like for the most part the population isn't crazy religious. Like, for a lot of them aren't going all the time to synagogue every Friday night and
Honestly,
Saturday.
it's very much like America.
Right.
Like you have a huge amount of people just like us that the only reason that you assume they're Jewish is because they live in Israel, but like they don't look it, they don't wear any of the garb. They're not talking about, Israel and Jewish studies 24/7 or whatever. They're just living their lives just
Yes.
like us. But then of course you're going to find those sections of Jerusalem, for example. Like my stepdad grew up in an area in Jerusalem that is like insanely religious, where all you see are the Hasidic. But I will say, when it comes back to this idea of, you mentioned the Talmud, and this we never talked about this, I don't believe, because Candace Owens went after Ben Shapiro in what could be possibly like the most anti-Semitic tirade. I mean, if anyone's questioning if she is one and they still don't like believe that she is, they're actually just blinded, or they are one themselves. So they don't want to believe that they are one themselves. Candace Owens has become such a big part of this podcast because she's been so fucking loud about her anti-Israel and Jewish hate. But now she's not even hiding it behind Zionism. She's just saying Jews. And it's wild. So Ben Shapiro, like, the thing about someone like Candace is they can criticize, they can judge, they can, accuse, they can say anything they want. But if you dare say anything to her, you're like gonna get slaughtered, right? So Ben Shapiro didn't give two Fs and talked openly at that TPUSA event, and she ended up turning it into this whole anti-Jewish rant where she starts talking about how Jews are the reason for slavery.
Yep.
Jews created slavery. She also lifts up that Talmudic Jew. It's not the Talmud. It's a book called The Talmudic Jew. And she lifts it up and she goes, Ben Shapiro studies this book. It studies the Talmud, but she lifted that book up very specifically. And she said all those things where, like, they don't respect Christians and they don't respect this, black people, and this and this and that. But if you do any research on that book, the book was written in the 1800s, and it was quickly deemed very not true, very not unfactual, whatever the word is, and very anti-Semitic. And the only people that really use that Talmudic Jew book in any way as a resource are like Nazis, like neo-Nazis, like current literal like Nazi type people who hate Jews. So the fact that she lifts that up on her show for millions of people and says, Ben Shapiro studies this, like telling people, go and read what this horrendous
Right.
anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish book is. And he studies it. He doesn't believe in any of you, whatever. And the Jews created slavery. Didn't you know, Adam?
I found this out from Candace, so that's where I get all my news.
And the facts don't prove it. The facts obviously are not, the majority of slaves were not, they were Christian, the slave owners, they were not Jewish.
They talk about how the slave trade, like we were the ones that were in charge of the slave trade. Like, yeah, okay, maybe there was a Jew or two.
There were some Jews,
right?
Of course.
It's fine. Like, but that's how everything is in this world. There's going to be bad people. No matter what religion, what group of people, you're always going to find somebody who sucks.
Exactly. What you're going to say, all white people are good? Fuck no. All black people are good? No. All Asian people? There's always going to be the bad, the criminals, the racists, the bad, the good. And that's the way it works. But as a whole, the Jews didn't create slavery. And to put that on a small group of 0.2% of the world who already are getting attacked by the world, it's just so irresponsible. It's so crazy. And she's like mask off. She's just like saying it and putting it out there. Luckily, a lot of people are starting to really pull away from her. And I'm noticing this in my feed. A lot of hardcore, would believe anything she says are starting to say, this is not maybe that comment they probably loved, but a lot of other things she's talking about are making her look less credible every day.
Right.
And it starts to really feel like, what is the goal here? Is the goal to really get to the truth of the Charlie Kirk investigation? Or is the goal just to really take down Israel and the Jews for another reason?
Well, and that's where, we started from when we talk about Tucker and talk about how he's compromised. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. And then you add Candace in there as well.
Like, it's a crew of them.
What is the benefit? I think Fuentes, I think he's always been just a terrible human being and always been against Jews before any of this has happened. Like, if you see some of the stuff that he did before even October 7th, you would know that he was not on Israel's side or the Jews' side at all. I think he's probably mad right now because maybe he's not collecting a paycheck from Qatar because he said all this stuff way too early. So now he's just going to continue.
Well, he's very anti-Tucker and Candace, which I find really fascinating because you would think that they would connect over this hatred. But actually, he says out loud that this is like real, what did he call it? I forget what he called, like really low-grade anti-Semitism. Like not low-grade, but like slop, basically. Like it's so bad. It's her anti-Semitism blaming Israel on Charlie Kirk. But, look, there's this like circle of shady people on the right. We definitely have spent a lot of time talking about the circle of shady people on the left, like the Squad, etc. So there's people on both sides that really have it out for the Jews. And it's the one thing that it's that horseshoe theory again. But I'm just so fast, like the left, I expect it and I know it. But the right fascinates me because obviously you have these proven anti-Semites, right? But then you have people like Megyn Kelly, who, if anything, felt like a very, very, basically for the right, a logical person for the most part.
Right.
Yeah, she's a little wild and aggressive because that's just her energy. But I've found her to be someone that really calls balls and strikes about these things. And she's a former attorney. She seems like she understands. She's always been a very proud Zionist. She's never really strayed from this Israel love or support until a few months ago. And within, I would say, 2 months' time, she is fully jumped ship.
Yeah.
Fully. She's jumped over to Candace and Tucker land.
Is she... So in terms of what, is she like saying the same exact type of rhetoric, or is she agreeing? Like, what is she saying that is so egregious at this point?
So this is something that I'm hearing actually now. This is like a new talking point from that side, I think, the people that hate Israel, that they don't hate Israel. They support Israel. Not Candace and Tucker wouldn't say this, but like Megan, right? I
Right.
support Israel. I stand for Israel and I want them to succeed. But it's the pro-Israel people are turning me off from Israel. The people that are fighting so hard for Israel are so quick to call everyone that says anything negative anti-Semitic. They're so quick to jump down your throat when you say anything that is somewhat critical of Israel.
Yeah.
And they are, she said, turning into the new BLM. And you can imagine how she felt about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So she's turning these pro-Israel advocates, which I imagine there are some that are pretty fucking aggressive. Just like in every other category, right?
Yep.
But she's turning her hatred of the people that are fighting for Israel into like a blanket anti-Israel vibe.
Yeah.
And it continued with Barry Weiss, which we can get into.
So we talked about this before with everything being called anti-Semitic, how we, and, you know, I think through, especially this year, you know, last year it was interesting because when I think about since October 7th, you know, when it happened in 2023, you know, those last few months of that year was kind of just, okay, what's going on, what is happening? And then all last year was like the beginning of trying to figure out, I guess, you know, everybody starts kind of taking sides and everybody starts figuring things out and kind of, oh, I am this, I am that. And now I feel like this year it's just gone completely off the rails where we didn't have to continue all of this craziness. We didn't have to continue everything in terms of all of this crazy rhetoric that people are saying, all of these crazy things that people are saying about Israel, but it continues. And I think what happens is that we, and I've definitely done it, we become now even more defensive about this kind of stuff. And because of that, you know, there's that easy word to use is anti-Semitic. So when you see something that bothers you, you can automatically attribute it to anti-Semitism. Now, that is not the right thing to do because once you start labeling everything anti-Semitic, you're basically losing meaning in that word. It basically becomes whitewash, I guess is the word, which is not like whitewash. But it basically loses all meaning. So I think, you know, at least from my personal Jewish journey in the last 2 years, I have done a better job at kind of understanding what I believe is what is anti-Semitic and what isn't, what is pro-Israel and what is anti-Israel, because a lot of times, you know, you can, and we say this, that you can criticize the government, you can criticize Netanyahu, but when you start criticizing Israel as an entire country or the Israeli people, that's where the line gets crossed. So understanding where that line is and not attributing everything to being anti-Semitic. With that being said, you know, there's still, and it is interesting when we think about that whole, is anti-Zionism anti-Semitic? Now, you and I believe anti-Zionism is anti-Semitic, and I didn't always think that was true. I think when I was, you know, when nothing had happened and before October 7th, I didn't know how I felt. I always thought, yeah, people can be against Israel and be against the people and be against that, but that doesn't mean they're anti-Semitic. They don't know any better. But I think we've given this point, we've given it over 2 years since October 7th, where if you don't understand what's going on in the Middle East, and if you think that you know, not standing up for Israel and being a Zionist is a very important thing, then yes, now it becomes anti-Semitic because you're using that in a way to basically shield your hatred towards Jews, and you haven't learned anything that's happened in the last 2.5 years. It's very frustrating. But anyway, that was just some random thoughts, but I want to hear what you were about to say about Barry Weiss.
Oh, well, Barry Weiss is getting just really, really like just kind of attacked from all sides right now. And a lot of people, I'm hesitant to say it fully is this way, but a lot of these pro-Israel advocates are going all in saying it's because she's Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that it doesn't help the situation at all. However, I wouldn't want, like, that to me feels like too blanket of a statement to say it's because she's Jewish. So the Barry Weiss story that kind of went down recently was the CBS. She took over CBS, and she's just met with a lot of anti-Barry and anti-CBS media, because the truth is the media in general is very liberal. Mm-hmm. Minus, of course, like Fox News or whatever, Newsmax, Fox News. I don't even know what those stations. I never have seen Newsmax. I just know that it is.
It exists.
Yeah. So other than that, most of the news that we're watching, reading, etc., is liberal. They hate CBS News and they hate Barry Weiss because they feel like she is a plant, basically, a mouthpiece for Donald Trump. I don't know the details. I don't know the story. I just know Barry Weiss from the Free Press and her tenure before at New York Times. And she was at the New York Times. She resigned in 2020 mostly because she was not willing to go along with the very super uber liberal framing on everything. And she felt like she got bullied out.
Right.
And she got really, really famous from this resignation letter and then started the Free Press. Now, personally, I enjoy Barry Weiss because I think she's on the right track with a lot of my same beliefs about Israel and Judaism and Jews in America. And those are the things that are my triggers right now, you know? But I have not like read into all of her thoughts about life and about all kinds of things. I know that she is a lesbian. She's married to a woman.
She is? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
She's a lesbian. She's married to a woman. She is obviously a pro-Israel Jew.
Yes.
But she's not what she calls MAGA. She calls herself she says she is like central right, basically. She's moderate like us. And you're probably more on the left, but she and I tend to be kind of a little bit more aligned now. But like I said, I haven't done a deep dive of like how she feels about everything. I just like that she's willing to come in there and switch it up and not just air only anti-conservative pieces like it was. Also anti-Israel pieces. Let's look at CBS. Remember when Leslie Stahl interviewed the hostage? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I didn't remember till this very moment when you just told me, but yes.
Yeah, when she was like, how do you know that they didn't want to give you food? Maybe they were starving, she says. So there was a lot of just like shit in the media, and I'm down for this, but she comes in, and then of course the first week, basically, there's this whole story about the Venezuelan camps, the prisons for illegal immigrants, you know, from Venezuela, and it's called CECOT, CECOT, and it's torturing prisoners there. There's clearly, obviously, a lot of torture and bad behavior and bad energy, etc. But the piece was not up to snuff for Barry, apparently, because she felt like they were withholding comments that they actually got from the administration, saying no comment from the administration. Right. She felt like it wasn't fair, pulls the piece. So now every single person on the opposite side of, every liberal just went balls to the wall and went after Barry. And now people are saying this is a way of slowly like pushing Jews out of high power situations by putting them in impossible to win situations where you're just getting attacked on all ends. And slowly she's going to have to give up this career. Like she's never going to be able to stay there because it's kind of possible that she probably won't. She's going to get a lot of hate. I wonder if you believe that that's like a Jewish thing or if it's just a liberal Republican thing.
I think it's tough to say. It's probably a mix. I mean, it's probably a liberal like a Democrat Republican thing, because when you think about, of course, like you mentioned, the Leslie Stahl thing, like just in general, the whole thing about liberal run media and how this is completely different. This changes the landscape where somebody comes into a major news organization like CBS and who is more right leaning, and is and has kind of just a lot of different views. That is going to shake stuff up, and people are not going to be happy about that. When you add in the pro-Israel and very vocal pro-Israel, because if you look at the free press, like, a lot of the stuff, at least that comes into my feed, are very pro-Israel and all of that stuff. It doesn't help. I think unfortunately, it's just wrong time for her right now because of the situation that's going on. The entire thing is just timing wise, this doesn't make any sense for her, and it sucks because I think what she could possibly do is bring kind of a different point of view to a very storied news network, or not news network, but news organization with CBS. But you're probably right. She's probably going to get pushed out, and she's probably very either slowly or fast. I don't know how it's going to go, but I don't know how long she's going to last there.
Yeah, you're right. It is a timing issue because if this happened 3 years ago, it would have been a very different story, I think.
Yeah, completely.
There's a lot of pressure also because of the Trump and the Colbert and like the whole Paramount situation, like that adds to it. And then and the fact that this made the press because this journalist decided to, make it a big story, that her story got what she called spiked, which is basically a way for news organizations to kind of like hold on a story and like push it forward. Like she basically delay the story. This happens apparently in newsrooms all the time. It's not that wild that stories are spiked. Yet this one, all the internal emails started getting released. All the, behind the scenes stuff got released to the world.
Who is releasing all this stuff?
I mean, probably there's probably a lot of people that hate her in there.
Right. So that's the thing. I mean, she may have been doomed from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like this was never going to end well because she goes against kind of the normal way of thinking over there.
And people we both know that there are so many people that are such staunch Republicans or conservatives or liberals, Democrats, that it doesn't matter what is being told to them. They are party first.
Right.
And so people will not give her the time of day because her first week, she had Erica Kirk and that whole thing, and that was kind of a flop. And then this, and like it does feel like she's pushing this kind of like super conservative narrative, and I don't think that's her as a person. Right. So because I've been following the free press there's a lot of anti-Trump stuff also and anti-conservative stuff. So I'm very confused why this has been, but I'm sure this was perfect for the media, this whole story. Oh, here's an anti-Trump piece that Barry held. Yeah. Clearly she's working with the government to hide any negative press. It's feeling very dictator. It's feeling very Russia. And people started to panic, I think, over it, But I'm sure if you watch CBS as an entire news station from morning till night, you're going to find a lot of anti-Trump content.
Yeah, like has 60 Minutes changed that much where like they're not doing certain stories? Like it doesn't make any sense to infuse other opinions in there, or at least ways of thinking into your news, is probably going to make for better content and probably make for a better news organization, and
a bigger audience.
But at this point, it doesn't make it. This point, that's not what people want at this point, and it's not the way the people who are there want either.
Yeah, and it's bullying. It's like bullying out. If you have a thought that is not in line with the rest of the people, you are completely eliminated, like isolated and eliminated, to the point where she's probably going to say, fuck this, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Or she'll get fired for some reason. But it's really actually, it kind of I think that's the approach that these people were saying, is like, it is slowly pushing Jews out of high positions, because if you are a proud Jew, but the right kind of Jew, or like the wrong kind of Jew for them, sorry. The wrong kind of Jew. The Jews like us that support Israel openly. that is a wrong kind of Jew, because you can be Jewish like a Mandy Patinkin.
No.
All you want, but you can't be us. If you're people like us, you are slowly going to get hate. You're going to get, if you're a podcaster or a content creator, you're going to get less views. If you are an establishment, a restaurant or whatever, you'll get bad reviews. You'll get less clients, customers. It's done by design to make Jews stay quiet. And
I do wonder though. I do wonder, and I want to talk about Mandy Patinkin in just a second, because something happened the other day. I do wonder though if, CBS, and I think like a lot of these news organizations that are either ABC, NBC, and CBS, they are meant to, they attract old people. Let's just be honest. If you're watching
legacy media in general,
if you're watching, Fox News or CNN or any of these, you're going to get,
50 and up.
It's going to be advertising for catheters. Like that's what you're seeing, right? You can't pee
prescription
by
pills, catheters.
Right.
Yeah,
you need someone to help you pee. I mean, that's usually it's something to do with your genitals or bladder for the rest of the entire the rest of the fun.
Or Viagra, maybe.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. Your genitals.
Oh yeah.
Genitals. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're older, you tend to, again, when you're older, you tend to kind of lean a little bit more right and be a little bit more on that side. So I do wonder if she can get ratings though. All of this is about money. All of this it's a business. Is it enough for her to get, I don't know what the ratings are. I don't know what it was before she came. I don't know what they are now, depending on all their different shows, what they do, but will she do better for them than what they've done in the past?
I think that, the tough part about this is like you could say, okay, yes, every single conservative in the world is going to come out and support her because they're going to say, we want more of this. We want to show the world that like CBS is the better news network than the other ones. But the Jewish thing, that's
always going to be a problem.
That's the part that not all people are going to want to support it. So like, I think, Megyn Kelly, we started talking about Megyn Kelly. She went after Ben Shapiro and she went after Barry Weiss at TPUSA.
Right.
And Ben Shapiro was a good friend of hers. And then it's a long story why they fell out, but she's blinded by her hypocrisy over why she's mad at him. It's wild. She won't say a word negative about Candace or Tucker, but she's so mad at Barry Weiss. And she's mad at Barry Weiss because Barry Weiss retweeted his speech.
Right.
And said he had a barn burner of a speech. And I agree. It was a great speech. But that was enough for Megyn Kelly to completely flip on Barry and call her all these negative things, say that she's never had experience doing A, B, and C, but yet a month ago, she was tweeting huge congratulations to Barry Weiss. She deserves it more than anyone, et cetera. So like,
so two-faced.
Who are these aliens that are coming into these people and completely like switching them off? But Megyn also, it's weird. Like she's also going after another big conservative guy, Dave Rubin. She's going after like Mark Levin, who, God, he's a little tough for me too, but he's like that big Fox News guy.
Right.
I don't listen to him. I just remember him. He was in my mom's radio when I was growing up. Like it was him and Dennis Prager always. But Mark Levin is a lot. He's a lot. But she's going after him. She's going after all, and everyone's like, wait, why is she only condemning Jews? Like, what's happening?
And that's a little segue to somebody else who has made the news in the last week since because we took off last week.
Yeah.
Somebody who is now made a lot of waves is Dave Chappelle. And that's a good sound. So Dave Chappelle, such an idiot. He basically he had a Netflix special. I think it went live last week or something like that. And it's very interesting. Dave Chappelle, I don't know if you were a fan of Dave Chappelle back 25 years ago, but
yeah, like at the beginning. What was his show?
The Dave Chappelle show? Yeah. So yeah. I remember seeing Dave Chappelle in like The Nutty Professor and Half Baked, which was of course a big favorite in my fraternity house. And then seeing all those.
Wow, that is such a good movie. Is that I Suck Dick for Coke, Bob Saget?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, that
R.I.P.
it's R.I.P. So many great lines, so many funny things in that entire movie. Anyway, so then, he parlayed this career into the Dave Chappelle show, which was unbelievably funny. Like, so cutting edge, so racy, so amazing. Like, I remember we would watch it, like me and my buddies would watch it. It was appointment television when we had appointment television, because that doesn't exist anymore. But we would watch it like maybe a Sunday night or something like that. And it was so good and so funny and so just different and amazing in a lot of different ways. And then he had this kind of, I don't know if it was a breakdown or something, but he ended up, they offered him like ridiculous amount of money, millions and millions of money, they being Comedy Central, to do another few episodes, or seasons. And then he ended up kind of either breaking down or something, and then he ended up moving to Africa and blah blah blah. So he had been kind of away from a lot of different things, and then over the past, I guess 10ish years, he started picking up and doing more
Specials.
more specials, more stand up and all that. So he had started, he's always been controversial. I think now it's been mostly since Trump and everything. A lot of his comedy is not so much comedy. A lot of it is just, he talks a lot different. He's not doing stand up like he used to do, and more of it's kind of social commentary. And some of it's not even funny. It's a serious talk. And the first thing I remember, he was talking a lot about trans. He really got into that. He was really talking negatively about trans, all of these different things. So he got on the wrong side of that, I guess, left-leaning people because of what he said. So now, fast forward into, past October 7th, and everybody's very interested in Jews and Israel. He is now incredibly anti-Israel. He says I believe he said something in a past stand-up, maybe his last stand-up before this one, another thing about Israel. He hasn't been too shy about mentioning it. He said something on SNL about it when he hosted last year, 2 years ago. And now even he said something this time, basically talking about, he basically just saying he's never going to support Israel, and if they find him supporting Israel, then he's been compromised pretty much. And it's very interesting to me, because this, to me, again, falls into the Tucker Candace story, because the same thing when it comes to not Qatar this time, but Saudi Arabia. So if you remember, a couple of months ago, a bunch of comedians went there, and I don't know if he was a part of that situation, but a bunch of comedians went to Saudi Arabia because they were offered a ton of money to do a stand up at a comedy festival. And Saudi Arabia has a lot of issues with human rights, and people, there were a lot of controversy if they should have turned it down. Now, Dave Chappelle now has a link to them, because he did the same thing. He performed there in front of their crown prince or whatever. And he is now kind of fallen into that group of, yeah, I'm cool with this group of people, but fuck Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't care about Israel. So it's, again, somebody with a huge platform who is saying these things and getting people very interested in it. I seriously can't sit and watch him anymore. I used to find him incredibly funny and edgy, and he had a point. But like, now it's like, for somebody who loves doing stand up and about free speech, I don't remember who mentioned, maybe it was even Bill Maher who said this, but like, if Dave Chappelle got up there and mentioned, like, talked about Sharia law in Saudi Arabia, or said something negative about the crown prince, do you think he would have returned home? Do you think that if he was a citizen and he made those, he wouldn't have been put to death instantly? Of course he would have been. And so now we're in this fucking bizarre world where he is fine with Saudi Arabia, but he is not fine with anything that is Israel and Jews. It is fascinating and very bizarre.
It's 100% bizarre. And it's so obvious to me just from an outsider. And I try really hard to be like, okay, I don't want to be in like a cult, I don't want to have cult mentality where I think everything Israel does is good and there's never any bad, which I don't think I do. I actually see a lot of flaws in Israel's government and Israel's systems and Israel's past. There's been Israel's not a perfect country.
No.
But it feels very strange how you can go and completely almost erase your brain. It's like Severance. Erase your brain into reality and then completely be brainwashed into thinking something that is so off. Like this idea, back to the beginning of the show, that the major threat for daily Americans from foreign influence or whatever is not Islamism. It's Jews.
Right.
It's Israel in the government. How could you even think that? It's shocking. It's like a Severance moment. Did they just literally remove brains? No, clearly not. They're paying them. They're getting a benefit. They're either getting more views, more clicks, more likes because that's the trendy thing right now, or they're literally getting paid. But you have to be a really intelligent person to be able to see someone like Dave Chappelle, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, be a huge fan of them, but say, okay, I may hate Israel, but I also don't think that Islamism is not an issue. We can think both.
Yeah.
And this idea of don't look there, that's fine. Whatever you're seeing on the TV is fake, that's fine. It's just so, it's actually they're doing exactly what they're kind of doing exactly what they would say not to do, which is don't trust. They say don't trust the government. Don't trust the government. Now they're saying trust the government about Israel being the worst, or trust the media about Israel being the worst, and believe all this stuff. It's why can't you question the media? In fact, Charlie Kirk's last dialogue with Ben Shapiro on his show is being construed as him turning on Israel. But what he says is, I question the media about everything. Charlie Kirk says this. I question the media about everything. About COVID, about BLM, about all those things that Charlie Kirk believed. So when they're all telling me that Israel is so bad, I'm questioning it too.
Yeah.
And as human beings, we have to question the narrative that we're being fed constantly, but not in a conspiracy theory way. Just let's look into the history of it. Let's look into the reality, the facts. And that's what's scary, is that people these dangerous people are pulling up books that aren't legit as this is the history, this is the truth. That's why you sent me this wonderful guy, Moderate Case, who is a Instagram, YouTube, TikTok creator. He's phenomenal. And he's not Jewish, but he is a strong believer in Israel. And I think he's Christian.
He's very Christian.
Very Christian. He's super religious too. Yeah. He looked up to Charlie Kirk big time. But he straight up just says factual information about where this shit comes from and what. And there's another one that does this really well, and his name is Kaizen, Kaizen. Okay. He's on Instagram, X, TikTok, whatever. And lately his thing is debunking all of Candace Owens' crazy claims. But he does it from a very logical, informational, scientific, basic, background, not just conjecture and feelings and trends and thoughts and Dave Smith vibe. It's he's saying it no, physically this happened at this time. And that reminds me to talk just for a couple minutes about this huge big story that happened at Turning Point, which involved Israel, which was this USS Liberty story. Now, I, hand to God, had no idea about USS Liberty until this year.
Okay.
Did you?
Nope. Okay.
The USS Liberty, and I still haven't really researched because I don't even know where to research. I think it's been so, all the content I'll see online about it is probably so skewed.
Okay.
But basically what happened was in, I think, 1967, Israel attacked a U.S. Army ship, the Liberty, USS Liberty. And apparently this was if you look at it, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of things that are very anti-Israel right off the bat from all the content that's been created in the last year or two. But the truth is that, okay, so this happened on June 8th, 1967 during the Six-Day War. I've got to talk to my stepdad because he fought in that war.
Okay.
It was an attack on a U.S. Navy technical research ship by an Israeli Air Force jet fighter aircraft and Israeli Navy mortar torpedo boats. Okay?
Okay.
Now, why people think that this is shady is because apparently there was very clear signs that it was a U.S. ship. There was flags. I have to like really get into the details, so if I'm getting some stuff wrong. And it was a long attack. Now, Israel took responsibility for the attack that caused death on Americans and paid for reparations, like dealt with it appropriately as you do, but to this day maintain that it was an accident, like accidents happen during wars, etc. People that are anti-Israel now have been just bringing this up left and right. This is the story that shows that Israel is not an ally to America, which is crazy to me because Israel has forgiven Germany.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jews have forgiven Germany for the most part. Like Pearl Harbor, we don't even have that kind of contentious relationship with Japan.
No, we're fine with Japan.
So in life, like the normal thing is if you fuck up, you take accountability, you apologize, you pay for it, you deal with it, and then it moves on in life. Clearly, America and Israel were able to get over that issue and continue to work together. But for some reason, in Ben Shapiro's speech at some point during that TPUSA, this young dude who looks literally like an actor from Stranger Things. He's like a handsome young guy, has no social media footprint. His name is Nicky Rudd.
Okay.
He stands up. He's a groiper, like that's Nick Fuentes type people. Okay. Yeah. He's totally like that end. He stands up and questions Ben Shapiro on the USS Liberty. Why in the world did this happen? Israel clearly is not an ally to America. And again, Ben Shapiro is like, it's not relevant to where we are right now. It happened. No. We dealt. We fixed it. It was all good. And we moved on. Like the USS Liberty is this thing that people are convinced that Israel hates America and is actually out to like attack America because of this one thing. And I think to myself, like, these people are forgiving Islam and like terrorists basically forgiving them. Qatar, all the go visit Qatar. It's so beautiful. Buy property in Qatar. Everything's fine. But let's hold it against Israel for that one attack in 1967 that they like felt bad about. Like what terrorist has ever said like, I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you.
None of them. None of them.
It's just such an unfair just equation. You can't connect the two. Like mistakes happen.
Well, they will find anything they possibly can to try to question / sever the ties between the U.S. and Israel. They do not want, they being all these people that are, this Nicky Rudd, whatever the fuck his name is, douchebag. And then anybody else, they are trying to latch on to anything they possibly can. They're trying to, quote unquote, build a case to create some kind of narrative that, of course, we do not belong together. We should not be working together. And that, you know, the Israel actually hates the U.S. and Israel controls the U.S. and all of that. It just continues down that.
And like, ultimately, I do kind of wish that the U.S. cut off aid to Israel. Honestly. Not because I think it's good for America and Israel, but almost to be like, then shut up now. Shut up. Like the Israel, like, because Israel can, the truth is Israel is a phenomenal economy.
Right.
Israel is successful. They are resourceful. They're technologically advanced. They're, you know, they basically could do it all on their own, essentially. But there is a sort of agreement that Israel has America's back and America has Israel's back. We give them the money. They have to spend a lot of their money back here in America.
Right.
And that money actually like boosts the economy in many ways.
And a lot of the money that we give them is not cash money. It's basically military aid. It is basically weapons
that they're buying from us.
Right. Exactly. So it's not something that is, you know, I've seen this argument too, where it's like, oh, Israel has, you know, free health care. They have these types of, you know, this types of government assistance and that. Why do we have to give them money if that, it's like, that's not how it works. We're not Venmoing them fucking cash. It's not how it works. We're giving them ways to help protect themselves from the rest of everybody around them.
And also, we need Israel too on our side, because Israel's a shield, I believe, in that region for us. And it prevents, Israel does the dirty work of a lot of other countries, as we just saw this last year, with everything with Iran, et cetera, which, by the way, is like ramping up again. I don't know if you saw the news today.
I have.
So I have to say that there's a part of me that just wishes we could cut all ties financially, so that this wasn't even like a talking point for reasons to hate Israel. But Israel is very successful, and they would continue. They would have a booming economy on their own without us. And I think actually it's a bad thing for America overall. The net positive is to continue in this relationship. But just it's like you can't really get mad at a kid if they're not taking your money anymore, if they just want to go and do their own thing. Like, right? But like when you're paying them to survive and to like live, then you have a little bit more of a right to be like, you have to get a job, or you have to do this, or you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
It's a little bit more complex, but yes.
What?
It's a little bit more complex, but yes.
A little. Just a little. But in general, I don't feel a change on my feelings about Israel at all. Like, I don't feel a change about 2025 like pushed us to the brink, I think, in terms of, are you going to stay in support of Israel through all the hate, through all of the crazy disinformation campaigns out there, for the fake news and the fake headlines and the Miss Rachels of the world and the Cynthia Nixons, et cetera. And like, the fact is, I will never back down because I'm worried about people not liking me. It's hard. Like, I'll cry a lot, when I get like mean comments, or when people say I can't support you because you're a Zionist. Like, it hurts. But I always ultimately want to know that through these really, really rough years, I didn't waver in my support towards my people and like my homeland, right?
I will say, and we should end by this, is saying one of the best things that's happened this year is that we got the hostages back. And thankfully, and as shitty as that whole situation of even getting them back and all the issues with what happened, it is excellent to say that did happen, and we have so many people that were able to go back to their families, rejoin. And yes, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done, but it is fantastic to hear that that's what happened.
I think in general, Israel is healing, like as a nation, slowly, because of everything that they've gone through. They really went through a really horrible few years. That whole region did. Let's be real. Like, you can't lie and say Gaza hasn't. Like, it's just been so awful in that region. And I really, really pray that Israel has a few years, if not more, of just calm now to kind of just like rebuild their own, the soul of the country. But that's the thing about Jews, and that's the thing about Israelis for sure. But Jews in general, like, it's not the first time, it's not the last time.
Nope. And
it never will be the last time. That's the unfortunate thing. But the best people, strongest people I know are Jews. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But anyway, well, that's a nice way to wrap up the episode.
I dig it. Wrap up the year.
Wrap up the year.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing that happened. We started Just You and Me.
Yay. I wish I knew our exact anniversary. I want to say it was like March or something.
Yeah.
February, March.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate.
We'll have a 1-year anniversary party. Just you and I.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Here on Zoom.
All right.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here, for subscribing, for liking, for following us on Instagram at Just You and Me.
And TikTok.
And TikTok.
Yes.
And send some love this way because, just our title on its own brings on a lot of hate.
Yes, it does.
Adam, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Have a wonderful rest of 2025.
I will.
Okay.
I will. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.